Welcome to the Cityshow Radio. I'm Pat O'Melia, and as always, I'm your host here on GGR Radio via Live 365. If you haven't, download the app at Live 365. Tell your friends. Download the app at Live 365, where you can enjoy our programming, and it's a ton of other programming music. It's actually a pretty damn good app. You can enjoy a ton of programming. We got a lot of shows. For that, I'm going to announce some new shows coming up. It's going to be a very busy April as we break in some new shows. We have a guest later on today, candidate for a mayor, and the President Hudson County Commissioner, Bill O'Day, will be coming in after we open our first segment. But like I said, download the app, say GGR, and that'll bring you right to us. And just keep it set. You can listen on your Alexa, or on your cell phone, on your computer, in your car, wherever you want to be, wherever you are. You could sit there and listen to the show. And again, there's a ton of other programming on the show. And let me tell you what we're going to talk about today. Yeah, I live in a world of Democrats here in Hudson County, but it looks like Mr. Trump is going to be successful with his tariffs. As I was coming in today, many of these countries are agreeing to go zero tariffs, or they're going to bring down the tariffs. They're willing to negotiate. If Trump is successful with these tariffs, there'll be no stopping this guy after that. He's going to have a head so big there will be no hat to fit it. But as I said a couple of weeks ago, whether you love Trump or you hate Trump, we need him to be successful. We can't go through another 4 years of a questionable economy on the brink of recession, depression, whatever the hell we were working on under Biden. It was a bad 4 years. We need to get back on our feet. We need to start being profitable again. We need a good economy. Like I said before, when Trump was the president before, I actually had money. I'm now struggling with this program I'm doing with the high school kids, getting equipment. We got our mics. I'm buying a Ford Transit Connect van for the project, for the program, I should call it. So when the kids are out calling baseball games, that are covering things on location, we'll have a piece of equipment with their radio and television broadcasting capabilities. When Trump was the president before, I would have just gone out and bought the damn thing. I had money then. I have no money now. Hopefully, this guy is successful, and it's super important for him to be successful. All right, before I go into the whole thing with the tariffs, let's break for our first commercial. You'll listen to the Cityshow Radio here on GGR. We'll be right back.
Comprehensive healthcare is here, and here. RWJ Barnabas Health is healing, enhancing, and investing in Hudson County with its two newest locations, Hoboken and Exchange Place. Within walking distance or accessible by mass transit, our locations combine convenience with primary and specialty care, including cardiology, women's health, orthopedics, cancer care, and more. Let's be healthy together.
Burns Brothers Memorials, Monuments, and Markers, 787 Tunley Avenue, Jersey City. Hudson County's only monument maker, serving all faiths and cemeteries. Design, studio, and large inventory on site. Cemetery inscriptions and custom orders welcome. Burns Brothers Memorials, Monuments, and Markers, 787 Tunley Avenue, just south of Secaucus Road. Craftsmanship that will last for all eternity. Burns Brothers, Jersey City, Albert H. Hopper, North Arlington. Visit us on the net. We're back. Cityshow Radio here on GGR. I'm Pat O'Melia. Let's finish talking about our boy Donald Trump, the president, who I swear, if this guy is successful, and we need him to be successful on these tariffs, he'll be a very big head. There'll be no stopping this guy. He'll have a lot of ego there. I'll give Trump time to rebuild the economy. I know everybody was talking last week's. The stocks are crashing. It's down 800 points, 1,200 points. I do know some people who actually have money that they're buying on the dip now. For a friend of mine is in real estate, and he doesn't dabble in stock market. He's saying, I'm getting to this stocks. I want to buy on the dip. I know everything's going to come back. Yeah, the people who have money are going to make money on this. After what we went through for 4 years, I'll ride with the guy for a year to see if he can get this economy to turn around. Like I said before, we had a bad 4 years. I'll ride with Trump for at least another year. And it seems to be working. The UK is talking about zero tariffs. I'm even not sure if zero tariffs are the best idea, but at least we can get our manufacturing, our products, whatever products we actually make here in America anymore, into the foreign markets. China became an industrial powerhouse in the last I guess, the last 30, 40 years because of the high tariffs. They don't have our products in China because of the high tariffs. We got everything. Whatever I look at says made in China. So whatever Trump's going to do with China, and if China does back down on what they were threatening to do, again, you're going to have Donald Trump with a huge ego then. But it does need to be done. Before I got into radio and politics and TV, I used to buy, sell, and repair tractor trailers. For a long time, I worked for the Transamerica Corporation, that pyramid building in San Francisco. And Transamerica was in heavily, and they still are, in exporting ocean-going containers with Transamerica IMS, Transamerica TTS, all these various Transamerica companies. You see the decals on the containers. My old boss, Ed Danelski, this is going back in the 80s, would tell me, I tell you, you want to know how the economy's going? When you're riding down the turnpike and you see mountains of ocean-going containers stacked up, we're not doing well because we're not exporting. When you ride down and you see very few of those containers, we're doing well. Well, you ride up the turnpike right now, you're going to see a lot of ocean-going containers stacked up. That's the true indicator of how we're doing exporting. Importing, we get imports from all over the world. Exporting, we're way behind. And you look at that huge chart, whoever made that chart for Trump, you're seeing the differences in how much the country's charging us on tariffs and how much we charge. It's been a huge imbalance for a very long time. So let's try to tighten that up. And that's what Trump's doing. Again, love, hate him, I'll ride with the guy for a year after what we just went through. But, if we learned anything during the pandemic, we need to bring manufacturing back here. Yeah, I don't know if you can't do a snap of the finger. You're not building these manufacturing factories and warehousing and what have you in a snap of the finger. It's going to take a year, 2 years, something of that nature. But you see companies like Apple talking about bringing manufacturing back here, various car manufacturers talking about investing trillions of dollars. When the pandemic hit, we couldn't get masks, we couldn't get ventilators, we couldn't get vaccines, we couldn't get anything. Everything was manufactured in Trenton or overseas. That we need to get back to. We were a global manufacturing giant, industrial giant during World War II. All these countries that we have these tariff problems with, if it wasn't for the United States, it wouldn't work. China, in particular, the only reason China survived World War II was they had land to give up for time. And Japan was just strolling right through China. But China would back up 50 miles. Japan would take that much of China. And eventually, we were successful with Japan and, of course, Germany. But France, European nation, UK, we saved all our asses. And probably a lot of this started after we started rebuilding Europe and Japan. We allowed these tariffs and imbalances in exporting and shipping to happen. But Trump is going to try to change it. Clinton talked about that. Reagan talked about doing this, but it just never happened. Are tariffs driving up prices? They didn't happen yet. But people say, the prices are going up. The price of eggs have come down. I actually went to ShopRite yesterday to see what the price of a jumbo eggs are. They're at $5. Still about $1.50 heavier than it should be, but it's coming down. Anybody who's raising prices right now, there was a car dealership was doing an interview. I think it was on CNN or MSNBC, and the guy was talking about a Dodge Ram pickup. It's an $80,000 truck. He says that was $80,000. That's a $100,000 truck right now. And they're going back and forth how the tariffs are affecting it. I'm like, wait a minute, tariffs didn't happen yet. And that truck's already on the lot. If that guy's asking $100,000, he's price gouging you because these things didn't happen yet. Are we overreacting? I'm not going to tell Wall Street what to do, but maybe there are some overreactions there. But that will settle out. And the other thing that's got to stop is people like James Carville. Now, 70 million people voted for Trump. You can't start knocking all these MAGA or Republicans. And Carville was talking about people who cooperate with Trump right now will eventually be treated like the Nazi collaborators after World War II. And it didn't go well for the people who collaborated with the Nazis in France and Italy and so forth and so on. These are Americans. They're your fellow Americans. They may have a different political belief. And that's the other thing. We got to stop this. The campaigns are over. It is now the job of the people. Yeah, you want to fight every 4 years for the campaigns, fine. But once we have elected, we got a president, we got a Congress, we got a Senate, council or commissions, whatever it is. Once the election is done, It's the job of the people, not the politics. We have a lot of political problems here in Hudson County right now. You got the HCDO battling, the forces are full up, and some independent forces. That's fine during the campaign. But once it's over, it stops. It's time to do the business of the people. And that's not happening in Washington right now. It's not the business of the people. It's, let's call them Nazis, whatever they want to call the Republicans. That's not helping us. We need to do the business of the people. So stopping that rhetoric is the best thing. And also I want to bring up one other thing about Trump saying he's going to go for a third term. That's impossible. There will be no third term unless we change a lot of rulings of the Constitution and all that. And the idea that J.D. Vance runs for president, wins, and resigns, and lets Trump take over, who Trump would be his vice presidential candidate, is far-fetched. Like I don't know if I said this last week, but if J.D. Vance was to win the election for president, he's going to say, Don who? He said, that's it. Don's in the back. Don's gone. It's my turn here. I'm not resigning. So Trump can become president. Actually, I think Trump says these things just to get the media going. But some of the stuff he says, it's got to be tongue-in-cheek. Yeah, the guy is obviously intelligent. Yeah, it's self-made. I think he borrowed a couple of $1 million from his father back in the 70s. He was in the billboard business. He got into real estate, and, he became Trump who he is. People talk about, he had some bankruptcies in Atlantic City. There are a lot of bankruptcies in Atlantic City. Trump was the first one to get out of AC. It's a shame what happened in AC. We mismanaged Atlantic City, the state of New Jersey. We just went all in on the gambling, and we just never took the next steps in AC. All right, we're going to break for commercial. When we come back, we're going to have an old friend of mine, guy I go back with, I guess, about 30 years now. He's running for mayor of Jersey City. Is presently the Hudson County Commissioner. I think he's in the Hall of Fame of Hudson County Commissioners, commissioners here in New Jersey. I think he's probably been on the board for 20-some-odd years now, but we'll talk about that when we come back. You're listening to Cityshow Radio here on GGR. We'll be right back.
Newport, the luxury waterfront community on the Hudson River, offers a quality of life you deserve in one of our many high-rise towers. With amenities such as the on-site Newport Path, light rail, Newport Town Square, 3 playgrounds, dog run, upscale restaurants, retail giants like Kohl's, JCPenney, Macy's, and Target. Morton Williams and Acme Supermarket are just outside your front door. A health and fitness center, skating rink, and medical facilities are also on site. Enjoy the New York skyline from our waterfront and various parks. Manhattan is just one pass stop away, or a quick ride through the Holland Tunnel. Nursery and private elementary schools all on site. 12-screen movie theater at the Newport Center Mall. Looking to visit? Stay at the Westin or Marriott Hotel. For more information, visit us at newportnj.com. Make lasting memories to cherish forever. It's incredible. It's you, Newport. Live like you want.
We're back. You're listening to Cityshow Radio here on GGR via Live 365. Like I said, download the app. Everything's on the app now. I wasn't going to go on digital until I found out 60% of the traffic on WFAN and ESPN is all on the digital now. And I'm from the old days of radio. See, I was going to stay away from this until I realized this is the future. So let's make sure his mic is on. Let me bring in my guest. He's in studio with me. Longtime Hudson County freeholder and now commissioner. And at one time, the youngest councilman in Jersey City. I think he served with my old buddy, Glenn D. Cunningham. Bill O'Day. Bill, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Pat. Yes, that was a long time ago. I was the youngest councilman ever. Still hold the record, though. Still hold the record.
My first question, now you and I go back a long way.
Yeah.
The seat has been, you're going to run for mayor. So I got to ask you this question.
Yes.
The seat has been pulled out for you at least 3 times to run for mayor before.
Correct.
And each time, Louis Manzo got in the seat ahead of you. Why are you running this time when you didn't run it back? You didn't do it in the 90s. You didn't do it in 2000. You didn't do it after Glenn passed on. When each one of those times, unless I'm forgetting a run with Louis Manzo.
No, you're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
What's different now than those other?
Besides Louis Manzo not living in Jersey City? No. Different.
Did that really stop anybody in Hudson County?
No. Yeah, it's true.
Well, you're all working with Louis. Isn't he working with your campaign?
He's been helping us a little
he's
bit.
a good
He's
guy.
been helping. He's a great guy.
One of the true good guys in Jersey City.
The difference is that I'm a point in my career when I can run for mayor, become the mayor, do everything that needs to be done, many good things, some difficult things, and not even worry about whether I get reelected. So had I done that in the 2000s or in the 90s, I would have had to go in there with a different perspective, which is how most people go in is, all right, I got elected. Now what do I do to get reelected? I'm not going to worry about getting reelected. The city has a lot of problems. They've got financial problems. They've got union problems. They've got operational problems. And I'm able to go in there and do what needs to be done, do what's right. What's the old saying? I'd rather be right than president, as a famous candidate for president once said. And I think that's the difference. And I'm at a point in my maturity level also at this age where I think that I have the wisdom necessary to go in and do the right thing. It's troubling sometimes because as I analyze things, I realize how difficult some of these decisions are going to be. But I'm ready to go in and make them, not make promises I can't keep, but be honest with people and go in and make tough decisions. And I'm doing it for the right reason. I'm not doing it for my ego. I'm not doing it to somehow redeem myself. And I'm not doing it as a stepping stone to run for some future higher office. Those are all the important things I need to have to be able to run for mayor.
Now, is it a case where there's no incumbent running? Is that a situation that you say, well, I don't have to take on like a Fulop or a Healy or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean that would when Glenn passed away, that wasn't, that would have been the situation. That didn't matter. Again, I think in that particular perspective, when Glenn passed away, I was just troubled with how many people jumped in and wanted to run. They didn't even give the night Glenn passed away. There were phone calls being made about who was going to run.
I remember that. Yes.
And that bothered me. I mean, Glenn was a personal friend of mine, and that just didn't sit well with me. That kind of took the wind kind of out of my sails. Though in hindsight, I probably would have won. I'm almost sure I would have won that election. In the late '80s, when Jerry McCann was forced out of office, I got wrapped up in that short period of time in working with the interim mayor, who was Joe Rakowski, and just keeping the government running. It was a difficult time when a mayor is forced out of office. There's a lot of turmoil in government, so that taking up of my time kind of deterred me from being able to jump in the mayor's race and give my full attention to that. So I think Louis Manzo certainly, his desire to be the mayor certainly was a factor because him and I were close friends and still are good friends, but there were other factors. Now I have a clear field. We used to joke around. It was, the time is now. The time is now. Well, our slogan now, it's not our slogan, but we say it's now or never. So I think that gives me the right perspective.
Well, speaking about time, this is the earliest we've ever started a campaign for mayor in Jersey City. Yes. Jim McGreevey, he jumped really early on.
Well, he had to, right? I mean, he's got a bad historical reputation that he had to get out early to address or try to address. He kind of moved to Jersey City because Fulop gave him a big job, and then him and Fulop had a huge falling out, right? Fulop made him, and then Fulop fired him. His long past is his long past, but even his recent history is kind of, at best checkered. So he had to get out early to just make the case as why is this guy that just moved to Jersey City several years ago to take a job from the government now want to be the mayor. So he made it earlier, and that kind of got me to get out earlier than I would have wanted to, right? I would have probably started maybe 5 months ago. Instead, I started almost a year earlier than that, simply because you could not allow him to get out there, because all he would say is, this guy's not going to run, this guy's not going to run, this guy's not going to run. And we were able in a lot of ways to just stymie his ability to do that. So.
And with Jim McGreevey, I don't want to discount any of, we'll talk about Solomon and Joyce.
Yeah,
one of your proteges.
Yeah, Musa.
McGreevey, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think he has a constituency in Jersey City where you are. You're the king of the West Side.
He doesn't have a base, right? We're West Side Greenville, yes. We're the South Side of the city, yes.
You got, as I said it before, you got generational constituencies. Yep. You got grandma, you got granddad, yes. You got mom, dad, you got the kids. You've been there for 30 plus years.
There are people who got toys at a Christmas party for me 30 years ago that are now bringing their kids to the Christmas. We haven't got grandkids yet, but to bring their kids to the Christmas party, 100% yes.
Now, how do you see McGreevy? I thought maybe that's why McGreevy jumped early, because he couldn't bank on the west side, he couldn't bank on Greenville or the Heights or the slope.
He tried
downtown.
he tried to get engaged big in the Heights with a little bit of success, but we got a good candidate up there who's walking every day. Haven't been up there as much as I want to. I'll get up there more, but there's a lot of generational folks up there that know me too, just from doing a couple of walking tours. So.
Bill, you've been here for 30 some odd years, from a councilman to a freehold to a commissioner.
My first election was 40 years ago.
And you really don't stay within your boundaries, by the way.
No,
if
I
there's
don't.
an issue downtown,
If
you'll
somebody
be down
tells
there.
me there's a problem and they need my help, I've always been that way. I don't look at your address like a lot of elected officials go, no, that's not my area. I mean, you're here to help people, and you help them wherever they come from.
Name recognition, McGreevy has that.
Yes.
But if you looked at the favorables, unfavorable,
He's got highest unfavorables clearly of anybody.
And James Solomon, he's the young guy. And again, James can probably wait 20 years and still be the young guy in the race.
Yeah.
He's got a constituency in downtown, but
Yes.
they're kind of a transient constituency.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it, especially in the high rise, is transient. I mean, that's going to be interesting to see how we try to pursue people that either just moved in here last year. Some will move out, but he has his base, and look, he's been for the area of downtown and the needs and concerns of downtown. He's done a good job, but now we've got the needs of the rest of the city, and he really hasn't either had many opportunities because he didn't step out of his boundaries the way I would to kind of address those. So I think that that's going to be what I think his biggest challenge is going to be.
When I look at the Solomon campaign so far, correct me if I'm wrong, it's very similar to a Fulop campaign. What the Fulop days as a council person and making his steps.
Yeah,
to,
and Fulop would argue that when people have had a Fulop for 12 years, they want something different. It's like a brand of ice cream. When you had a certain brand of ice cream for long enough, you want to try a different brand of ice cream. So that to some degree, I think is a bit of the challenge that he has. But I like Solomon. I think he.
James.
I think he's sincere. I think he's sincere.
It'll be a good candidate. I don't know if he's the candidate for now.
Yeah,
but he's got a long way to go.
Yeah, I think his challenge is like not what have you got done, but from an administrative, executive side of it, right? Like, what's his background like? Because it's different being a legislator, which probably weighed in the past on my decisions not to run, because I'd never run anything, right? Like now I've run a very successful not-for-profit economic development agency for 10 years. I've managed staff, I've balanced budgets, I've applied for and got grant money in. So those administrative experiences are clearly important. Now McGreevy has some, but he quit, right? There's an old saying, right? Winners never quit and quitters never win.
True.
So and then he got fired. He ran employment and training, he got fired. So he's got administrative experience, but what happened with the result of some of those administrative experience, I think that's what his question is going to be.
Quick question. One of the commissioner meetings, we were talking about Jim McGreevy has lifetime benefits with the county of Hudson. You and I covered that. You were there.
Yeah, I was there. It wasn't raised by me. It was raised by a
YouTuber.
A YouTuber, okay. Yes.
If he becomes the mayor of Jersey City, does Jersey City get stuck for the lifetime benefits?
No.
That's not how that works?
No. I believe he's retired from the pension. I think if he comes back as the mayor, you can't jump back into the pension because he's already been collecting a pension from the state for, 7 years now. And as part of that pension, he got his medical benefits paid for. So he shouldn't be back in the pension system because he's already retired from it.
So he collects a pension and he'll get a salary as mayor.
Correct. Okay. We've got commissioners that collect pensions we've got Councilman, Richie
Borgiano.
He collects his police, and they're entitled to it. So there's nothing wrong with it, but it's just the reality of it.
Now, now I don't want to hammer this, but when McGreevy got the lifetime benefit, there was nothing illegal done there. It was just the county got stuck with it because he was at the end.
Yeah, it wasn't illegal. It was bad. He took advantage of a very bad policy. And the very bad policy is if you came to work for the county and worked more than 90 days and you retired from the county, you got your benefits paid for. I changed it. Now you got to work 10 years. And so he took advantage of a loophole that allowed him to do it, because I believe he found out when he went to run Jersey City Employment and Training that Jersey City's policy is you got to put the entire 25 years minimum in for the city to pay your medical benefits when you retire.
And
So he found that out suddenly. He's like, oh, what am I going to do? And it's kind of weird because he worked I think he still was at Employment and Training for those few months that he was working for the county.
But it wasn't illegal. He just found the loophole.
He found a loophole, and he took good advantage of it. He did not. There's nothing illegal about what he did.
I didn't want to give the
Definitely.
opinion he did something illegal.
And I don't even think the YouTuber has asserted that. I don't know. I didn't see what the YouTuber posted.
All right, let's break for commercial. We'll come back with Bill O'Day. He's running for mayor of Jersey City. I'm Pat O'Melia. You're listening to Cityshow Radio on GGR.
No one plans on heart disease, but everyone should have a plan for it. We help patients of all lifestyles and medical histories plan for healthy hearts. We offer convenient screenings without judgment, hundreds of preventive programs, and women's heart specialists. And we're the largest cardiac surgery program in New Jersey. Make plans for a healthy heart with RWJ Barnabas Health. Let's be healthy together.
Consumer Carpets, 3408 Kennedy Boulevard in the Jersey City Heights. Your one-stop store for residential and commercial floor treatments. Carpeting, linoleum, tiles, laminates, hardwood floors, area rugs, remnants. All major brands, all in stock. Free estimates, same-day installation. Consumer Carpets, it's savings, selection, installation. Credit cards and debit cards accepted. Financing available. Consumer Carpets, price to fit your budget, installation to fit your schedule. On the net at consumercarpets.com. Consumer Carpets, Jersey City, 201-792-2712. We're back. You're listening to City Show Radio here on GGR. I'm Pat O'Melia. We're going to open up the phone lines in about 5-10 minutes, so take the number. Toll free, of course, 855-999-0799. That's 855-999-0799. All right, Bill, we talked about two of your opponents, Solomon and McGreevy. Joyce Waterman, old friend of ours.
Joyce is a nice person, but again, doesn't have administrative experience. And again, if you think Steve Fulop's done the greatest job and everything's perfect in the city, I think that's the argument she'll make because she's been the council president. If not, I'm not sure what. If you say you're going to make a lot of changes, how do you make the changes when you could have made the changes for the last 12, she's been there 12 years, but all the years she's been the president of the council. So if I want to have free summer camps, and she says in the debate, yeah, I want free summer camps, I'm like, well, you the one who got rid of free, or you oversaw the city council that voted on budgets that got rid of free summer camps. So she's in a tricky situation.
Well, that's the problem with the association with Mayor Fulop. Whatever she says, she comes up with this idea. You're going to say, well, there'll be a debate in this studio where you can bring that up. Saying,
Yes.
well, why didn't you try this as the council president?
Your
Your protege, Masab Ali,
good young man.
why isn't he on your ticket?
Well, I didn't have a tailor-made spot for him. He lives in Ward C, and Tommy Zuper and I have a long working relationship. I think Tommy Zuper is a great candidate. He lost an election, stayed active, started a civic association, became the president of the neighborhood associations at Journal Square. That's what a public servant does. That's not a person that just wants to get elected to office. That's what a public servant does. So, but I like Musab. He's good. He's young.
He's got a future. He's another
He'll be
guy.
back.
He can wait
He'll be
20
back.
years and still be the young guy.
Yeah, you know
in the
what?
race.
He should get finished. I assume he passed the bar. He should go practice law, maybe become like an ACLU lawyer or a real public interest lawyer, do some great cases, really make a reputation, and then come back and run. If not here, run for some other office. I don't want to say any other office because then I'll get that person. Whoever holds that office will be mad at me.
Now, before we go for the phones, let's talk about some of your platform.
Yes.
Recently, you were talking about affordable housing.
Yes.
You work with the developers. If they do 20%, you got to give them density. You have to give them variances.
Yeah, and help them access all kind of state incentives from the Aspire program, from federal low-income housing tax credits to state Aspire credits that'll pay for literally 50% of the cost of the project. Pat, with affordable housing, if you want to have just, I'd love you to have a debate just on affordable housing, because I'm not sure all the other candidates will show up. I've actually worked on projects. I actually pencil out performance. Before I was here, I was across the street at the pizza place on Tunley, sitting with a developer explaining how the programs and the economics of these programs work and the benefits, and then how much the additional costs are and how those additional costs are more than offset by the benefits.
Now, these units of affordable housing, would they be forever affordable or 20-year, 30-year?
At least 20, a minimum of 20. I'd like to get 30, but yeah, a minimum of 20. And then look, find a way after the 20 to continue, because you're going to need them to continue to be affordable.
Why not go back to the way we used to do it, where it was the feds, the state, the county, and the municipality, like a Duncan project, a Kerry Woods, Montgomery project, the row where I grew up in Dogpatch, that was built after World War I. There were 2 rooms two on the bottom, 2 on the top. They built that. That was all.
But we have
affordable.
some of them, like Holland Gardens is redoing and adding new units down by the Holland Tunnel using those models, right? So they have city support. They may or may not have county support on the bonds that get issued to pay for the upfront the tax credits that they get from the state and federal government. So yeah, I mean, there's not as much federal money, and you were talking about Trump before I came on the air. I don't know what or how he may gut some of those federal programs for funding affordable housing. If he eliminates stuff like Section 8, we're in a world of trouble, because you're going to have a bunch of people that are not going to be able to pay their rent.
That would probably be political suicide to do that.
Well, I don't know, except he looks at red and blue, and if it benefits blue,
Well, you got to look
then
at
you might care.
that. Might be Elon. He might be. That may
Well,
part
it
of
could
the
be
Doge.
Elon. I
It
don't
could be
know. I don't
Doge.
know. But you know, those models still exist. Aspire takes state tax credits, marries them with 4% federal credits on the affordable units, and then obviously you need the local support to get those projects done. But there are 100% affordable projects being done. And I would certainly work and encourage 100% affordable projects where you take state Aspire credits, federal low-income housing tax credits, some city affordable housing trust fund money, and make it work. I've been helping a minister on a pastor on MLK looking to do that for 100% affordable senior housing.
Well, we used to build it like this years ago. Somehow we got away. That's how we did Curry
Yeah,
Woods.
and further down on a smaller project with Blesk, we're looking to do 18 units, all affordable, with first floor classroom and office space for the programs they provide to the youth of Jersey City.
Well, the other problem with affordable, that's an interesting word in Jersey City, where we're probably number 1 and number 2 highest rents in the nation.
Yep.
How can you have affordable if the city isn't affordable? You know, the
Well, that's
school
a challenge.
board,
That's a challenge.
the school
That's a
budget
challenge.
is $1 billion plus. There's talk about a 20% increase coming from there. It gets too. There's no affordable
But
if
you
the city
realize,
can't be affordable.
you realize the school board increase is not a spending increase; it's a reduction in state aid increase. Their budget is actually $8 million lower than it was last year, but the state aid cuts are so substantial that that's the problem. Everyone beats up the Board of Ed, but here's a simple factor, simple math: Paterson, New Jersey, Jersey City, New Jersey. More students in Jersey City than Paterson. So let's say that's not fair. The number of students in Paterson and Jersey City that are eligible for free school lunch is almost the same, 20,000 to like 21,000. City of Paterson, $583 million in state aid. Jersey City, $144 million or $145 million in state aid. What's wrong with that equation?
Well, you could just look at Union City. There was
Well,
a
Union
huge
City gets more,
imbalance.
right. So politically,
Not even close to Jersey City.
So Pat, politically, we were screwed several years ago with the Senate president because they didn't like Fulop. And they got the city on one thing. They gave away too many tax abatements and didn't share the money with the schools, which was wrong, but most of that predated Steve Fulop. And Jersey City got punished. So change the pilot. If you do a tax abatement, give the school board their proportionate share and give us our money. If we just equalize that, Paterson and other cities, we should get $250 million more in state aid. And you just solved a lot of problems.
Do you honestly think the Jersey City Board of Education's budget is legitimately $1 billion plus?
If you base on how many children there are in the school system.
It's averaging, I think, it's 36,000 a student.
Okay.
My elementary on Broadway in your ward, PS 23, that costs $58 million a year. Is that possible? Think about that.
I guess it is.
$8 million
but
a
Pat,
year.
think about the flip side of it. You can't even get teachers anymore. You ever drive on
Well,
the
they're laying
turnpike?
them off left and right now, so you probably can get teachers.
I don't
And
know. You
it-
drive.
Tom's
maybe.
River's letting them go.
If you drive on the New Jersey Turnpike or 1 and 9, you see huge signs. Newark, $67,000 a year to start as a teacher. Cop start $41,000. Sheriff officers $43,000. So, but they're not knocking down the doors. They're giving you a bonus to become a teacher. So it's a challenge.
I'm all for teachers. My daughter's
Yeah,
a teacher.
yeah.
I would take the Jersey City Board of Education $1 billion plus budget, take the teacher salaries off the table, and look at everything else.
I think you
have-
do. Look. I think as mayor, I want to have a partnership with the Board of Ed, and that partnership would be to look at outside of the pure educational component, where can you cut and save money? 1,000%. The same way as the mayor of Jersey City, outside of public safety, where can you cut, save, and eliminate positions that aren't needed, spending that's not needed? Where can you do more competitive nature for even professional service contracts, both in the city and the Board of Ed, that's going to save you money? Some of the stuff that I was able to get the county to do. So when we go out to get an architect, we get proposals from a lot of architects. Don't just deal with one architect. So I think all those little things, you got to add a lot of small pieces to try to save money. And look, if you're a partner with the Board of Ed, they're not going to be resistant to you looking at how you can save money with them. You got to work together with them, though. Not be their enemy.
Would you stay with an elected board or go to an appointed board?
I'm always in favor of elected boards.
The problem is the city
People
really-
have a say. Look, you don't want to give the mayor of Jersey City, even if I'm the mayor, that much power. Man, if the mayor of Jersey City starts appointing all the school board members, you think things are bad now? Forget about it. What kind of patronage is that going to happen with the mayor of the city is going to start taking, I got to get rid of these people in the city, I'm going to send them to the Board of Ed. No, let the people decide. Look, the voters of Jersey City are intelligent voters. Let the voters of Jersey City decide who their school board member should be.
And it's you might be right, but it's just hard to agree when you see. You got a former president of the Jersey City Board of Education probably looking at jail time from trying to hire somebody for a real estate attorney for allegedly various bribes and things of that nature.
Yeah, but I mean, you get that in all levels of government,
All
right?
right, let's break for commercial. We'll come back with Bill O'Day. You're listening to Cityshow Radio here on GGR. We'll be right back.
Comprehensive healthcare is here, here, and here. RWJ Barnabas Health is healing, enhancing, and investing in Hudson County with its 2 newest locations, Hoboken and Exchange Place. Within walking distance or accessible by mass transit, our locations combine convenience with primary and specialty care, including cardiology, women's health, orthopedics, cancer care, and more. Let's be healthy together.
Burns Brothers Memorials, Monuments, and Markers, 787 Tunley Avenue, Jersey City. Hudson County's only monument maker, serving all faiths and cemeteries. Design, studio, and large inventory on site. Cemetery inscriptions and custom orders welcome. Burns Brothers Memorials, Monuments, and Markers, 787 Tunley Avenue, just south of Secaucus Road. Craftsmanship that will last for all eternity. Burns Brothers, Jersey City, Albert H. Hopper, North Arlington. Visit us on the net. We're back. You're listening to City Show Radio here on GGR. I'm Pat O'Melia, and I'm joined by candidate for Jersey City Mayor, longtime Hudson County Commissioner / old days called the Freeholder,
Which was a terrible title.
and former youngest councilman in Jersey City, Bill O'Day. You want to try to take a call? The first call we've been taking on GGR. Let's see what we got. Tell me when. Hello? Are you on the air?
Hello?
Yes, you're on the air with us with Bill O'Day and Pat O'Melia. You have a question for Bill?
Yes. I actually have a question for you, maybe. My name is Golan, and I want to know, why are you such a Trump sympathizer?
I'm not a Trump.
Shouldn't you be doing this in Alabama?
No, I'm just saying that you got to give this guy time. You give him time, see if this works out. If it doesn't work out, I'll be the first guy to knock him, but give him time. He just got elected less than 2 months ago or 3 months ago. Give the guy some time.
And
My retirement account's taking a hit, though, Golan, since Trump became president.
Well, give it time.
That's not a good thing.
Give it time. I'm sure the stocks will all come back and everybody's 401k will be fine. and hopefully our trade deficits and our exporting will pick up. What else you got, Golan? Where you from?
Do you believe Charlie Kushner controls Jim McGreevey?
He's certainly, Bill would probably know better than I, but I know he's a major contributor to his political campaign for mayor, even back to the governor days.
Yeah. And I know he's a major financial supporter of his.
Major donator to Jim McGreevey. It's legal. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. If the Kushners want to put money in Jim McGreevey to try to get him as mayor, it's the American way.
And when Jim does the show, they should ask him that question, right, Pat? How much control or influence does Charlie Kushner have? I think they asked that on CNN, or I think Jim,
Didn't they do a
Jim did something on
documentary or
CNN,
something like that? Yeah.
And that came up something about Kushner. I don't know, Golan, if you
Well,
saw that show. But
we got to bring Jim McGreevey in here.
Yeah.
And, sit him down.
I'd love to debate him.
But you'll get your chance to debate him on television and simulcast.
He's in no rush to do that.
What else you got, Golan? Anything else?
That's it. Thank you.
All right, call us again. Appreciate the call. Thank you. All right, that worked well. Very good. I don't know you're attacking me for supporting the mayor, the president. I just want the guy to be successful.
He sounded nervous, Pat. I think he's afraid of you. He said Trump, I don't know, something like that.
Just be successful, Trump. I just want to have money again. All right, you're talking about the affordable housing.
Yes.
We're talking about trying to make the city affordable. You're trying to do anything with taxes? Are you going to try to cut taxes anyway?
Well, I mean, Pat, I could say I'm going to cut taxes, and then you should ask me, how am I going to do it? So first, I got to get my arms around the budget. I got to get I got to get my arms around credit card spending mentalities, right? Things that we should not bond for. Like last year, they bonded for all the tax appeals, but that means we're paying for that for the next 5 years when there's so many tax appeals. That's a whole different show. What I would tell you is I have to make sure we keep taxes stable, that we don't have 20% tax increases like there was a couple of years ago, and that I'm going to walk in there and do two things. One, look at 4 years, not 1 year. We live year to year to year to year, the way people live paycheck to paycheck to paycheck to paycheck. We've got to look at 4 years. How do we solve our fiscal problems over a 4-year period of time? Put a long-range plan in from that perspective. And then you got to bring in professionals that don't have any political agenda to look at your government, to look at jobs in your government, to analyze whether people are doing their work, whether certain positions, especially the non-unionized positions, are really necessary.
Sounding like Doge.
Well, no.
Yeah, it could be a Doge, lightweight Doge.
Nah, but you
Puppy
got
Doge.
but you got to understand that, and then you've got to long-term figure out how you're going to deal with your financial issues. You got to increase more revenue, get ratables on sooner, better collect payroll tax. We do a terrible job collecting the payroll tax, which helps us offset the school budget, right? Which is part of what we do. Also, I don't even think we're doing enough. Simple little issue. Next year is World Cup. What are we doing to promote Jersey City as a place to shop during World Cup? Make sure our hotels are filled. We get hotel taxes. Those hotel taxes aren't back to where they were. Parking taxes. So all the revenues besides your property taxes, we need to look at how we increase those revenues. But you got to control spending. You got to be willing to let people that are not just government, political people look at you and take recommendations that they take. So it's a long look at 4 years, don't look at 1 year, and just be honest with people. In the city of Elizabeth, they do cost of living increases every year. They've never had a year with maybe more than 4% increase. And they increase it by cost of living sometimes in an election year when most politicians would say, oh, it's my election year, so I'm going to use a gimmick to not raise the taxes this year. But when you do that, what happens next year, Pat?
Oh, you got to double it.
You got to double or triple it, because if I borrow against the payment, the money, I got to pay interest on it like a credit card. So if I bond my tax appeals and I bond it over X amount of years, I'm paying 5, 6, whatever the interest rate is on that payment. So you got to get away from a credit card mentality. You got to look at 4 years. And then I think, look, if Philip's the governor, it'll be great, because you say, Steve, you kind of had a role in creating where we are today.
And you help us out.
You got to help us how to get the heck out of it. And then you got to just live within your means as you go through a 4-year budgeting process or analysis of your revenue as well as your expenses over 4 years, not 1 year.
Well, you got a long-term mayor in Elizabeth also, Chris.
And he's the longest serving mayor of any city with a population over 100,000.
He's been there, what, about 16 years?
No, a lot longer
Longer
than
than
that. 93. He came in 93. He's been there
Chris
30.
Bolway? Am I pronouncing
Chris
that?
Bolway, 32 years. 32 years.
Obviously, the people of Elizabeth love him there. Are you worried in Jersey City? You become the mayor, you get into the office, you open the drawer, and these financial demons jump out. You know, Fulop has kept him in the drawer for the last 4 to 8 to 12 years.
I think he'll share them, especially with me, because him and I have a good relationship, though I don't agree with him on everything. I'm not worried about it. I accept the fact that they exist.
Have
Like,
you
I'm not-
heard anything?
And I'm go-
I know McCann has posted some things about
I
potential
mean,
demons.
We know that there were
Jerry McCann, not Barbara.
I know that.
All right.
I know that there were expenses paid allegedly using bond dollars instead of operating dollars. Don't know any of the details about that. I do know, and it was funny. It was maybe 3 years ago. I was the only, or there was one other speaker on the budget, which was amazing. And I pointed out that there was maybe $50 to $60 million of land sales in that budget. So if I put $60 million of land sales in this year's budget, what happens? I better have $60 million next year, or else I got a gap.
Yep.
So I think that gap exists. The other problem, which I think financially a lot of urban areas are going to have, and even the county to a lesser degree, is we got all this money under the American Rescue Plan, ARP, from the federal government. First, we got some money when Trump was in, and then we got a lot more money when Biden came in. Those dollars have been used to fill gaps in budgets. Some of it was supposed to be used to pay people that worked during COVID. Some places have done a much better job than others at doing that. But that money dries up. If the city hasn't used all that money yet, it has to use it all by next year. So what happens to that? If you spent 20 or 30 million a year on projects, programs, filling budget gaps with that, where does that 20 to 30 million dollars come from?
All right, let's move on to Pompidou. Is there a Pompidou under the administration of Bill O'Day?
Only if it works in the private sector. So if Manna that's on North Avenue, the old Corey warehouse.
Well, Western Electric, in my day.
Okay. Tops.
The Tops is
So those
down
two
the street. Yep,
those
yep.
two buildings, if it would work anywhere, it should work there, not in where it's proposed to now. And it can only work if there's a non-local subsidy required. So the city of Jersey City, under my administration, can't write a check for $5 or more million a year to offset the operational cost of that. So if someone can come in, like Manna, show me how that works, we can certainly get them dollars from the state cafe program that would fund the build-out, fit-out of space to do that museum there. They've got to then come in and show me how, from the private sector, not-for-profit foundation world, they can raise the money to run it without public subsidy. I don't know whether you can do it. I'm certainly not convinced you could do it, but that's the only way I think it works. Otherwise, we just can't afford it. We just can't afford to subsidize it.
Now, again, Governor Fulop.
Well, there you go.
That
Right.
makes things a lot easier.
He'll write it, right.
Yeah,
There'll be an appropriation in the budget to do that, right?
Well, he got you to Lowe's Theater. You and I are board
We
members
love
there.
Laura being on the FOL for almost maybe longer than maybe longer than I've been a freeholder or commissioner. Near and dear to both of our hearts.
Yeah, that's something we need to look into with the role of the FOL.
Yes, we have to make sure. So look, there's two things.
Actually,
we
may need to make that a campaign issue.
I
going
agree.
forward.
So there's two things we have to do, right? One, thank God the restoration finally started. That's a good thing. There's some issues within the restoration that need to be addressed.
Quite a few issues.
We need to, and that's its own show. I'll gladly come back with Colin and Patty, and we could do a whole show on that. But they need to be addressed. And then,
Well, you got the Historic Preservation Gang. They're going to be doing a show.
okay,
They'll be doing a
well, there
regular
you
show.
go.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. And then within that, we have to make sure that the commitment to the role, to the 55 days a year, is lived up to. That is allowed to do a variety of programming, some that make money, some that are pure for the community benefit, and that those things are clearly in place. And then, Pat, we as part of the FOL board, need to expand and restructure our own board.
I agree with
Right, because bringing in the Nimbuses of the world, right, bringing in from even the Indian community that's so close by that can bring Indian theatrical programming and film, like that is key to making everything work.
We need new blood. Maybe you and I should move on.
Well, I'm
and
the
get
mayor.
to-
I guess I'll have to
Yeah.
step. I'm going to have to step down from the board.
But
Reluctantly.
we also got to make sure the historic aspect of the building is being protected.
1,000,000%. Yes, I mean it's $100 to $105 million project. They better maintain this story, and you got to be able to show movies there. You got to be able to show movies.
There might
in
be
it, right?
some questions. I got to talk.
Well,
to
we
Mayor
know that.
Fulop.
We've had conversations.
I don't
about
know where Mayor Fulop is in this situation. I got to make him aware and then see where we go from there.
But that's a key. Look, that theater and that theater as both community programming, smaller programmings, college, university graduations, as well as major theatrical performances, musical performances, will do more to the economy of Journal Square and that area of Jersey City than the Pompidou will do.
I agree with you. Let's talk about your ticket before we let you go.
Okay.
Tell me your running mates.
Well, I got 8 out of 9 picked. I'm just.
Well, they had that one that's interesting, which you don't have a Ward B, but let's take it.
Well,
from the
yeah,
top.
I said 7 out of 9, but in Ward B, I've endorsed Joel
Oh,
Brooks and
I
Joel
thought
Brooks.
I thought you had them all filled. You still have one spot.
No,
open?
Ward E, yeah, we have one individual who needs to get an approval from the private sector, from their, I guess, their corporation council.
Oh, okay.
So we put that on hold. We can't wait forever. I think that I can't mention who they are, but they would be a dynamic candidate. But so in B, Joel Brooks has endorsed me. I've endorsed Joel, and Joel's has endorsed my 3 at-large candidates. So yeah, that's a little creative. But as a guy who was always an independent, Bill O'Day as an independent, I think the West Side likes somebody that's a little bit independent. So we have a good relationship. We share the headquarters has his name and my name on it. So yeah, he's on the ticket without having the O'Day name on the ticket.
Okay.
But we'll have literature together. We'll campaign. We're going to planning to do some door knocking soon together. Obviously, Ward A, I have Pam Johnson. Very, very, very strong candidate.
Long-time civic warrior. There.
Civic
Yep.
leader, nonprofit. Again, the thing I joke about with the council, I mean, it's a true equal branch of government. These are people with their own independent thinking. I don't think you're going to tell me there's one person there that you're going to say is a rubber stamp type candidate. Zupa has certainly proven himself, like I said earlier, in what he's done, staying involved, creating a civic association, heading up the block associations or neighborhood associations in Journal Square, speaking at council meetings, advocating for affordable housing. In the Heights, I have Elvin
He's got a
Domin.
tough opponent there in C, and Richie. Richie is beloved there. That's a tough one for Zuba.
He is, but like in sports, you lose a step, right? And I think that Tom has really shown himself as being
like
able
Tom.
to be the next person. Like if there's an heir apparent, he's laid his stake out to that. I don't think there's anybody else that's going to run there that can lay that claim. In the Heights, which I think is going to be wide open, Elvin Dominici's been out there for 8 months knocking on doors. No one's going to outwork him. And again, he's run before. He's very independent minded, and every week I get constituent service issues. He campaigns and he takes notes, and hey, this person needs a tree trim. And that's what a ward councilman, successful ward council people, as you know, Pat.
Tough job.
It's the toughest job in the
Yep,
world.
yep.
It's the toughest job in the world. And in F, I have Pastor Howell. He's got a large church on MLK. He's going to do a summer camp, free summer camp this summer, which is one of our platform issues. Bring back free summer camps. I think he's a dynamic speaker. Watch out when he gets in a debate. Have him and
What are we doing here?
have him and Frank and the other man. He's a powerful speaker, not only from the pulpit, but I've seen him in front of crowds for the election. And then our at-large candidates, Sandra Robinson Green is a legacy. Robinson versus Cahill,
That's-
the famous court case that brought us the money that we're now getting cheated out of from the state of New Jersey for our kids, thorough and efficient education. That was her mom. And she's picked up that mantle and runs a program to help young people and help youth that get in trouble. Kristen Zadroga, 30-year educator, athletic director at McNair Academic, very active and runs the PAC for the JCEA. And then Danny. One in couple.
Steeler fan, Danny Rivera.
Danny Rivera,
Yeah,
Danny, but public safety recreation. He's been very, very integral as we develop those particular policies. So I think we got the best team.
And you're just waiting on the awardee?
Just on Ward E.
Now, I made an offer to all you candidates to host your own show here. You should take advantage of it.
I will. I will.
Bring in your counsel.
I got to do it at night, Pat. I don't know how many people listen at 2:00 in the afternoon.
Well, we can replay the show, too.
Oh,
You can replay the show.
Okay.
You can have you 3 o'clock in the afternoon, replay at 9 o'clock. We got a lot of open slots. We're just starting.
Yeah, I
this
just
radio.
like it. I like evening hours just because
We can work it out.
You get more callers. Like we had one caller today, right? If you get in the evening, I think people get home from work and they'd be more apt to want to read it. So
Well, we need
to listen in.
We
and then
need to
make
get
calls.
somebody in here trained up on a program so you
All
can
right.
do it at your campaign office, or you can do it here. But
Okay.
you got to have somebody's got to work that.
Got it.
That becomes
I
difficult.
could try. I got plenty of volunteers that we have.
So if you got anybody with a little IT background, it's even
We
better.
do. We have several people that have great IT background.
So what we got? What we got left? We got about 3 minutes left. Anything you want to talk about county-wise? Before I go to a break?
Yeah, I mean we're waiting to get our county budget in place. We're tackling some union issues now, right? The ASME union's upset; they don't have a contract, and they're complaining about the retention pay, which everywhere else would be called hazard pay. So they were at the last meeting. I expect that they're going to be at this meeting.
I'm sure they'll be there Thursday.
Yeah, they're going to be at this meeting. Look, I get it. I work, I tell everyone I'm the outsider's insider in the county government perspective. Many years ago, they smartened up and realized if you leave Bill O'Day all the way on the outside, he's going to pick apart and make you look foolish when you come in with any of these major programs. So a lot of the main things that we've done and accomplished in county government, I've been an integral part of. And you know what I want? I've been the head of the Public Resources Committee, which just handles the parks. I want to make Jersey City's parks as good as Hudson County
Well, I
parks.
tell you what, I don't know who's running the parks department, but they do it.
Jonathan D.
Well,
Filippo
damn.
now, yeah.
From Lincoln Park
Second
to
to none.
Braddock
Second
to
to
Laurel
none.
Hill.
Yep.
Yeah, they're a great job. Let's break for commercial, then we'll end the show. You're listening to City Show Radio on GGR. I'll be right back.
No one plans on heart disease, but everyone should have a plan for it. We help patients of all lifestyles and medical histories plan for healthy hearts. We offer convenient screenings without judgment, hundreds of preventive programs, and women's heart specialists. And we're the largest cardiac surgery program in New Jersey. Make plans for a healthy heart with RWJ Barnabas Health. Let's be healthy together.
Consumer Carpets, 3408 Kennedy Boulevard in the Jersey City Heights, your one-stop store for residential and commercial floor treatments, carpeting, linoleum, tiles, laminates, hardwood floors, area rugs, remnants, all major brands, all in stock. Free estimates, same-day installation. Consumer Carpets, it's savings, selection, installation. Credit cards and debit cards accepted. Financing available. Consumer Carpets, price to fit your budget, installation to fit your schedule. On the net at consumercarpets.com. Consumer Carpets, Jersey City, 201-792-2712. We're back, City Show Radio. Pat O'Melia here. We're just almost out of time. Bill, where are your campaign headquarters if people want to come and volunteer and
Well, I
stop
have
by
5
any
of them.
awards?
I have one on JFK Boulevard in Seaview, catty corner from Walgreens. I have one on Lexington Avenue behind the library, right off of West Side Avenue, which has been kind of my community office for the past several years since I moved from 440. I have one on Newark Avenue near Summit, which is where Tom Zupa operates out. I'm at 6 Bleecker Street off of Central Avenue in the Heights. And on MLK, I'm trying to think the cross street, on Martin Luther King Drive, I have one also in Ward F. So we have 5. We have 5 headquarters. I don't know anybody that has more than one.
You got a
us.
website?
Reach at Reach Bill O'Day.
Well, you can always find Bill O'Day.
Yeah, I'll get you. I can get you
All
that.
right.
I'll get you that. Yeah.
All right, we're
Just
out of
Google
time.
my name.
I want to thank Bill O'Day for the longest 20-minute interview I ever did. I'm
you
Pat
go.
O'Melia.
There you go.
You be good. You be safe. I'll talk to you next week. Good night.
All right, Pat.